All right, guys, welcome back into another NFL DFS live video. I had to start a little bit earlier. This is going to be a short and quick video, so had to get it out there. Wanted to get the live video out there for you guys. So I know a lot of people won't be in the chat for the live video, but hopefully you guys can come back, rewatch it, and get the game-by-game breakdown. Like I said, it's going to be about a 15-minute video here for you guys. So let's get started off here. Indianapolis versus Detroit. So this is one of the very few games where you really don't have to worry about weather that much. Hey, Brian, what's going on, man? Yeah, we don't have to worry about weather too much. I don't really like Stafford or Rivers, although this isn't really a tough spot for either. I think both could, kind of hit value. I do think that Phillip Rivers, this is a guy that you guys should probably go out and trade for in your season-long leagues. If you look at his schedule, it's pretty easy. You could probably get him at a cheap discount as well, just kind of throwing that out there. I do still really like Jonathan Taylor in this one. I think that they're going to get him more involved this week. I think after the bye week, they saw the film and were like, all right, we need to get him more involved. Another guy that I think you guys should go out and kind of try to trade for is going to be Michael Pittman Jr. So he's one of the very few receivers that look good right away for rookies. You look at T. Higgins, even Jefferson, there's a couple other ones as well where they kind of, it took them a game or two to kind of get used to the NFL season. I think a lot of that was due to not having a training camp and preseason games, but once they broke through, they really broke through. Chase Claypool's another one of those guys, but Pittman looked the best right off the bat, pretty much is what I'm trying to get at. Now, yes, an injury slowed him down, but he could easily come out and be the receiver number one in this offense maybe next week or a week after that where the matchups get a little bit better. So, yeah, season-long league, I think you guys should go out and trade for them. Receiver-wise, though, on the slate, I don't love any one of these guys, although I don't mind them. Kenny Galladay, been a safe, consistent guy for 9 to 5 since he's been back. You guys could play him if you want to. Hilton, Pasquale, Marvin Jones, Pittman, they're all pretty cheap, and they're all guys that could go off. I don't think we can trust any of them, though. Trey Burton would be the tight end play if we could trust it. I wish it was a little bit cheaper. I wish the matchup was a little bit better, but price point's okay. He's had some recent production. And now the first game that's really impacted by the weather. Minnesota versus Green Bay. I don't really know exactly what the weather is looking like. I think it was 20 to 30 mile per hour winds, kind of sustained winds, so not as big of a worry. It feels like gusting and there isn't rain in the forecast. So it's tough to predict how much that is actually going to affect the slate. I still like Aaron Rodgers. I don't think he's a must play. It is a little bit riskier now, but for GPP purposes, he's going to be lower owned now, so I don't mind him as a play. I think the real go-to play is actually going to be Jamal Williams, though. We saw him get 24 opportunities in last week's game. If the weather does actually affect this game, Jamal Williams is going to be a good play at his price point still, 6.1 for a guy that's going to get around 24 opportunities in one of the best offenses. Yeah, give me that any day of the week. I like that a lot. He's probably, I have him rated as the 4th best running back on the slate. Find some other ones that we'll get into. Now, Dalvin Cook would be a good play. He's expected to play. We just don't know how much of a workload he's going to get. I think Madison and Cook could actually split the workload in this one. That's my worry, especially if the game is a little bit sloppy. There's no reason to risk Dalvin Cook, especially with the record that the Vikings have. That's my worry there. Receiver-wise, if I still like Aaron Rodgers, I still like Devontae Adams. Once again, the weather affects every player, okay? So the best players are still going to be the best players. Still like Devontae Adams. Don't want to pay up for him at that price point, though. I could easily see him going for 20 DK points. I don't see him going for 40 or 30 DK points like he really could have. If this was in a dome, if this was in Minnesota, I honestly think he could have went for 40 again this week, just given the matchup, given the amount of targets he would see with Aaron Jones out. We could have trusted that. Irv Smith, I don't mind tight end wise, but don't love that too much. Pittsburgh versus Baltimore. Honestly, guys, there's not much that I love here. James Conner, he's a guy that I think you guys should try to trade for in your season-long leagues. He's been a consistent fantasy producer. His schedule gets easy in a little bit here, so if you want to grab him, snatch him up in your season-long leagues, you could try to do that. Let's move on to the next game here. So Tennessee versus Cincinnati. This is one of the more interesting ones. So I don't mind Ryan Tannehill. Actually don't mind Joe Burrow at that price point either. Honestly, probably should have a little bit of Joe Burrow, given the fact that kind of every other game somewhat sucks. This weather for this game isn't the worst. I believe it was 15 to 25 mile per hour winds. I'd have to double check that. It wasn't as bad as some of the other games is pretty much the point there. They're going to throw a ton. Giovanni Bernard, still a fine pay down play with Joe Mixon out. With Joe Mixon out, Giovanni Bernard has averaged over 13 fantasy points per game with Joe Mixon out throughout Joe Mixon's career. So obviously that's phenomenal. Gio kind of got lucky last week, kind of got bailed out after a really slow start, but obviously 20.6 DK points last week, that was phenomenal. He's another guy that saw right around 20 opportunities, so was using the passing game a ton. I don't think that's going to change. What's up, James? So Derrick Henry, I still love Derrick Henry on this slate. Going against the Bengals, if the weather does affect it, they're just going to ram it with Derrick Henry a little bit more. I will say the biggest worry with Derrick Henry is that statistically speaking, it's like almost 100%. Players that have had as many carries as Henry has had this year, last year, and the year before that, they're going to get injured. Like, it's almost guaranteed. Now, Derrick Henry is obviously a different breed, but if they continue to use him I wrote it up on the 9 to 5 write-up, I think it's 28 opportunities per game. If they continue to use him at those clips, he's going to get injured probably, as statistically speaking he is. And if that happens this week, that's going to suck. But he's the correct play against the Bengals, who are bottom 4 rush defense. It's kind of like picking on the Houston Texans before everyone figured out that you want to pick on the Houston Texans. That's what we're doing with the Cincinnati Bengals. Obviously with Dunlap, also traded from the Bengals. That is helpful as well. Receiver-wise, A.J. Brown, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, Corey Davis, A.J. Green, Adam Humphries. There isn't a bad receiver play in this game. The problem is that there isn't like a standout play. I kind of defaulted to A.J. Brown just because the targets should be there regardless. He's just been a target machine pretty much. 8, 9, 7, 8. Him and Kenny Golladay have pretty much been the same guy target-wise and production-wise, so I don't mind it. But honestly, like T. Higgins at his price point, not bad. Corey Davis at his price point, not bad. Tyler Boyd at his price point, not bad. Honestly, guys, this could be a nice little game stack for you. I got to be done here in like 6 minutes, so I'm trying to rapid fire. But let me do a quick lineup, just game stacking this game real quick for you guys. I mean, it's an onslaught game stack, which we don't love, and it's not the best weather, which we don't love, but I mean, you could easily do that, throw Finn's defense in there or something like that, and you're sitting pretty. Let's see here. I mean, look at that build. That's solid. Throwing Damian Harris there, who's kind of my favorite. That is a nice GPP build right there. Going to have to come back and submit that one. I actually like that. That's a good game stack. But let's move on to the next game here. Vegas versus Cleveland. So what sucks is that Derek Carr, he was going to be my go-to quarterback on the slate before the weather report kind of happened. I'm not sure that he shouldn't be, although I am favoring Jimmy G a little bit now. That's up to you guys what you want to do there. I can't really tell you guys that the weather is going to affect the slate. It should, but you just don't know. That's the problem. You just really don't know. Like, the production's still going to be there. Teams are going to have to score. It's very rare that the weather completely shuts out a game. Look at the Chiefs-Bills game. It didn't really change the game that much. But real quick, Kareem Hunt, I like him a ton still. Josh Jacobs is healthy. He was a little bit banged up throughout the week. He could score a couple of touchdowns and kind of break the slate, but he hasn't been great. And I think that's a little bit due to kind of the offensive line not having the chemistry with the whole COVID thing. But obviously, if he scores a couple of touchdowns, he could easily break the slate. We know he's their goal line guy. If it's a little bit windy, a little bit more risky to throw, then obviously Jacob's going to get more involved. But I really love Kareem Hunt in another one where the rush defense is bottom 5, like Kareem Hunt. Rashad Higgins is really the only one that I like a decent amount for receivers. Hunter Renfrow, don't mind as well, where the Browns have been the worst against slot receivers. Although, like I said earlier in the earlier video, I think Darren Waller is actually going to be the guy there. So weather does worry you, but I still think Darren Waller, fine play at that price point. Still going to get 11, 7, and 9 targets the last few games. That's phenomenal. I think he's easily going to see those numbers again. Then moving on to the Patriots versus Buffalo. Really, the only takeaway from this one is going to be that both defenses are firmly in play. This game looks like it's going to be the worst weather game that we have throughout the whole slate, so both defenses are firmly going to be in play. And honestly, I'm kind of favoring the Patriots, where Josh Allen has kind of struggled in bad weather games. Patriots haven't won negative yet, and that's with giving up 33, 26, 35. That's with facing some good offenses. They haven't won negative against the Chiefs, against Seattle, so I don't mind them. Though I do still really like Damian Harris. If he is going to start with the game looking like how it is weather-wise, you would imagine that he's going to get a ton of rushes, a ton of opportunities. He's really been the only good-looking piece of that offense recently. Now, Jacoby Myers, I don't mind as a value play. 3.5, that's fine. I always thought he looked better than N'Keal Harry, so it was always strange to see the Patriots really force N'Keal Harry. So it'll be interesting to see Jacoby Myers play. All right, guys, we got about 30 minutes here. Going to have to rapid fire some of these games here. Jets versus KC. So I don't love anything in this game, really. Really don't know what's going on with CH and Le'Veon Bell. I think Bell's going to be a little bit higher owned this week than he should be. That's still a risky play, and that Jets defense isn't as bad as people think. It's just that they're on the field too much. And with Sam Darnold back, maybe that helps a little bit, but they're going to be without their top 2 receivers, which actually does lead into some decent value. Braxton Berrios at 3.5. He saw 7 targets last week. You look at the 2 games without Jamison Crowder as well. He was productive. So if he's operating on the slot, not a bad play at that price point. But Denzel Mims at 3.2. I don't think he looked good on film last week, kind of going back to the point where I was shocked that Michael Pittman looked as good as he did off the bat, where some of the receivers it took a week or two, like Justin Jefferson, like Claypool, like T. Higgins, where it took them a couple of weeks to kind of get used to the NFL. They didn't have preseason. Mims hasn't really practiced at all, so it's going to take him a couple of weeks to really get his, feet under him. But once he does, he's going to be a beast, especially with Crowder and Perryman out. So at 3.2, I think that's worth the risk in a game where he could pick up some garbage time points. I love that. That's really it for that game. For Rams and Miami, I still really only like Myles Gaskin in this one. Just love the price point for the opportunities that he is going to get. We love that. Pretty much been over 20 opportunities per game the whole year, and he's averaging 14.2 DK points. The Rams do have a good defense overall. You could play them, although I think I'm going to go with the Fins at 2.4. They've been a spectacular defense this year. 3 out of their last 4 games have been double-digit fantasy points. That is phenomenal. All right, guys, 1 minute left. Got to rapid fire this one. Chargers versus Denver, so I was really loving Melvin Gordon. He was going to be my lock play. Not going to happen. He was averaging 18.5 DK points per game without Phillip Lindsay. Chargers were a plus matchup as well, but Phillip Lindsay is active, so that kind of mutes the play there. Still really like Keenan Allen as a play. Moving on. Saints versus Chicago. Alvin Kamara, if you guys can pay up for him, you should. I was really mad to see that Marquez Callaway was inactive. He was going to be a good play. Guys look good. He's a possession receiver. He's kind of been the guy they've been waiting for, and he's actually looked good on film. Unfortunately, we really don't have anything there. Maybe Jared Cook is the guy, though, now, tight end-wise. Decent matchup. They don't have anyone else to throw to. I think that'd be the one that gets the most amount of targets. And then last game real quick. Ooh, all right, so like 30 seconds. Jimmy G, he's going to be my go-to quarterback play. Kind of with the Derek Carr news, I was kind of 50-50 on those two. I am worried about Jimmy G. He's been a little bit inconsistent. I could see the rushing touchdowns or the red zone touchdowns becoming rushing touchdowns for Hasty or Coleman, and that kind of hurts us with the Jimmy G value like we saw last week. That could happen again. Although with that game, it should be kind of a higher scoring one of the few higher scoring ones on the slate. We haven't got news on Travis Homer. It looks like he's going to be active, so at the min price, I think I would go with him. DJ Dallas has been horrible in blocking in the passing game. He's a horrible blocker, so I don't expect him to get that much playing time. If Travis Homer can play, he's going to be the guy, and he hasn't looked bad. Receiver-wise, Brandon Ayuk, just play him. Honestly, it's as simple as that. Play him. After that, that's it. And I'm sorry, guys. I was busy today on this Sunday. Had some stuff scheduled, so had to do it a little bit earlier. Had to do it a little bit quicker. I do apologize for that. Next week we'll be ready and good to go for the normal time. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys have a good week. If you have any questions, get those in the 9 to 5 chat if you're a 9 to 5 member.